The Offering, arguably one of the most difficult games in the arcade, and along with it, the Generous Sacrifice achievement. To get this, you have to score at least 5,000 points in a single game. With less than 0.1% of players actually getting this achievement, this remained one of the most rare accomplishments in all of Tower Unite. Luckily, on May 1st of 2021, a guide was posted with a step-by-step explanation on how to get the achievement 100% of the time. And then the devs decided to change up that entire game just 6 weeks after I posted the video, making that guide completely useless. I mean, come on devs. I worked hard for that video. Oh well. Time to make a guide for the new 1.5 version of The Offering. So let's get one thing straight here. This game is actually pretty fun now. The developers over at Pixeltail have completely changed up the way this game is played, and they've also given a boost to the number of tickets that you're rewarded with, meaning that high-scoring games can actually reward you with well over 2,000 tickets per play. And scoring the bonus 1,500 points is actually a lot easier, and the game feels a lot more fair and a lot more manageable, especially to the newcomers. Players can now throw 25 balls per game, meaning that you have a lot more chances to get points, and with the removal of the gaps from the previous game, every ball that lands in the arena will get you points. Now, with this change comes a couple of quick things that need to be mentioned. As of the recording of this video, the score values on the back of the board are not correct. The values reflect the previous game's points and not what they are for right now, so expect that to change pretty soon. As of right now, the outermost ring will award you with 25 points per ball, the second ring will reward you with 50, the third is 100, and the center box will award you with 500 points every time you land in it, so that value is actually still the same as it was before. You are given 30 seconds to throw the balls into the cups, but now there are two things that you need to be aware of as you play. The first is the UFO. The UFO will slide from side to side and will actually deflect the balls that you throw as it crosses path with them. When you get too close to the UFO, it'll shoot the ball off into a random direction, and that means that you could end up missing your target. The second thing to be aware of is that when the ball scores in the cup, it will not immediately disappear. Each ball will sit in the cup for about 2 to 3 seconds, meaning that you will not be able to get additional points in that same cup until the ball disappears. This means that we are not able to get the center target every single time. Even if we could have landed a ball into the center of the cup, if it's occupied with another ball, the ball is just going to bounce right out and then go to another cup. So that means we need to be aware of two things as we play, both of them involving timing. But before we worry about the timing, let's take a look at the aiming. Now, I've tried quite a few different tricks and angles to get this down, and the one that works best for me is what you see on screen right now. To set up, I've made my character the default player model, and doing this will make sure we have a standard size, making sure that you are shooting from the exact same height and the exact same angle that I am. And I'm also going to be setting my FPS to 24, which can be done under the Settings tab. This will help with performance on our side, especially on the more crowded servers. Now, one thing to be aware of is the size of the servers. When I was recording this, I was scoring pretty consistently into the center cup there until I had a large group join, and then I was no longer able to get into the center bucket. But then once they all left, I actually started scoring into the center again. Now, this might not be the exact reason, but I think it's worth mentioning. So my recommendation is to play on a very small populated server just in case. So once you have everything taken care of, hop onto a game and start playing. When you start playing, you're going to be automatically aligned with the center of the game, so we're not going to have to worry about being too far to the left or too far to the right. So after you finish your first game, we're not going to have to worry about moving left or right. We'll just have to worry about lining the crosshair up, moving up and down. What you'll want to do is move your crosshair at the exact same spot that I have it. So I do zoom in here to show you where it looks like from a little bit closer, but I actually think it's a little bit easier to line up from a distance. This spot is just about pixel perfect, so it might take a few tries to get lined up. Once you have it lined up, feel free to start the game. The position of the UFO will always be different depending on how the previous game ended, so when it starts you need to pay attention as to where it is and where it is moving. Once the UFO passes, you can start throwing. So for best results, I throw them in groups of 3. Obviously you can only throw one at a time, but what you want to do is wait for the UFO to pass by and then throw another 3 again. The goal here is to get at least one of the 3 buckets to land into the center cup. Because we're limited on time, we can't wait for the ball in the center to go away, not at least if we want to get the 5,000 points, that is. So by throwing all the balls in groups of 3, we can ensure that every single one of them is thrown by the end, by the time we reach that 30-second time limit, and because we have so many on the field, that can end up boosting our score over that 5,000 mark. So get into the habit of throwing them 3 at a time, waiting for the UFO to pass over the center of the field, and then throwing them 3 more again. As far as how hard to throw them, that's the easy part. Each throw will be at max power, so every time you're ready to throw, just make sure you hold down the mouse button until the power is at its absolute max, and then you can go ahead and throw them. Once you make sure the UFO is out of the way, of course. Much like before, the goal is to find the exact center area, and stay here without moving. May be tempting to move or adjust during the game, but try and stay as still as possible, even if you're missing the center of the cup. Only make small adjustments at the end of the game. Like I said, the spot is pretty much pixel perfect, so you have to make sure you don't move it by that much. If you are having issues hitting the center, try reloading the arcade or going to a smaller server. Sometimes when I load into a server, my first few games tend to do a little bit better, and then for whatever reason, my games get a little bit worse. So reloading to a brand new place and lining up again might be the best option for you. And as you can see from my footage here, I've been able to score pretty consistently around 5,000 points in these games. Some of these games are not quite there, but if you stick with it, you will get the 5,000 at least once. Again, remember that we're using a combination of the center 500 point bucket, as well as all the buckets around, which can slowly add to our score over the course of the game. And again, that's why we're throwing 3 at a time, because those buckets on the sides will add up, and eventually we will get a whole bunch of points from them. Also, this goes without saying, but there is likely a better method out there to get even higher scores, but this is the method that I was able to find that works the best for me. Spent a few hours looking at different angles, different character sizes, and this was the only one that seemed to be pretty consistent, at least on my side. So there we go. I hope you were able to get the achievement, and now you maybe enjoy the offering a little bit more after this update. And a quick message to the devs, please don't change it again.